Manifesting with Meg, and today I have Derek Fernandez here with me talking about finding joy in June.
Hi everybody, thank you, very nice to meet you, all of you online.
All of you online. So guess what? Today we're talking all about joy, and it's as we go through the months in the Magical Guide to Bliss, and joy happens to be June. And like I said, an outrageous joy is the expectation that we all want for our lives. But speaking to that, I do want to introduce Derek because his biography is amazing. He actually is from Barcelona. When he was a young child, he lived in a small town,
Banyoles.
Banyoles. Okay, I got to make sure I got the accent correct because, you know, I'll butcher it.
Catalan.
Yeah, Catalan, right? I feel like I am a native now to Spain, having walked the Camino, but that's not, I'm not going to go that far. But that being said, he had dreams as a child to actually see the world, and he did. Went to Barcelona and then actually went to one of the top business administration universities, correct? Mm-hmm. Wow, and even got a scholarship, so the guy is really smart and we're very lucky to have him. In fact, he was inspired at a very young age by Nietzsche, which, I mean, what was the book called?
And thus spoke Zarathustra.
I have not read that, and I'm sure it definitely pushes the envelope as far as what you believe in the world.
It's a must-have book, and I was mentioning also to Megan, I carried this book for like 5 years in all my trips, almost everywhere I go, and that was the first book I took when I decided to move to Miami.
Okay, so say the title again so everybody gets it, and I'll even put it in the feed after the fact.
And thus spoke Zarathustra.
That's awesome. So there you go. I'll even put in the feed because honestly, I think I need to. But you actually decided at one point in time to do an internship in Miami, and that's your first trip outside of Europe, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, my situation was a little bit special in this case, and to be honest, and this is something that for sure we are going to cover during this talk, but I always said, okay, I'm not going to come back to Miami after my first experience, and right now, I'm here again. So this is something that, yes, life, you never know what can happen. But definitely Miami has really changed my my vision of the world, really changed me completely. And I will always bring it a lot in my heart, as it was my first time I was out of Europe.
And he's not kidding, because when he says first time out of Europe, he's actually lived in China. He speaks fluent Mandarin.
Almost fluent. I can defend myself.
You can defend
After,
yourself.
yes, almost 3 years of studying.
Well, I mean, defending yourself is pretty good in this day and age because you're a business person now. Exactly. And you actually, it's amazing that you can open up that network and across the barriers when it comes to even speaking in Mandarin with a lot of the business community nowadays.
Exactly.
Correct?
No, especially with the Mandarin, one of the things that you realize is how open is the world at some point, but at the same time, how isolated we are in terms of because of our different culture, our different language. So for me in this case was really necessary to learn Chinese because that was the only way I could feel I could of course be adapted into the Chinese culture and really learn much more.
And it took you what, 3 years to learn the language?
Almost, yes.
Almost 3 years. Amazing.
Almost 3 years. So when I moved to China, I took intensive classes every day. So I was spending many hours a day learning Chinese.
So let's not just stop in China. He actually spent some time in Tunisia, in West Africa as well, working, right?
Exactly. That was my first assignments. My first regions that I was managing in my current job was the area of Tunisia. It was like a couple of years after the Arab Spring, so the situation was really tough. In fact, I always travel in Egypt in really bad moments. Tunisia, the situation was also very difficult. And in West Africa, I was working there, very happy. Just suddenly it appears we had the crisis with the Ebola, Boko Haram. So it was a point that...
Oh my God, you didn't tell me that part. Okay. Oh my God, seriously. So you're living there and this is all going on
Yes, no,
around
because
you.
in fact I was planning a trip to Cameroon. And I remember in 2 weeks before going there, I was thinking, oh my God, the situation is going to be very dangerous. And it was, in fact, there was some killings. But I said, okay, I'm not going to go.
Oh my God.
I love adventure, but maybe I need to be alive.
So joyous adventure means maintaining your actual life. Well, yeah, I get it. That's actually a good plug to actually when you're going out there and deciding what to do next. But after Tunisia, you actually came back to Miami. Is
Yes,
that right?
exactly.
And then that's where you've been for the last how many years now?
Now I've been here for a little bit more than 3 years.
Okay, so a while now. And that's where I got to get to know him. And actually, tonight we are actually speaking to specifically the insight, which is dream it, wish it, and do it. And quoting a fan favorite of ours, Walt Disney World, who says, all dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. So I figured, okay, that coupled with what's going on in the world right now, we all need a dose of joy and definitely some way to infuse the dreams that we already have and that we're already working with so that we can, basically somehow get the escape velocity out of some kind of, the really negative, dark feelings that we're getting around the world. So this is a perfect time, and I know that it's almost the end of June. However, it's never too late to talk joy, right?
No, never.
Especially since joy and bliss is kind of the things that we're all going for in life, and what that means. So, like I said, after looking at your bio, it's quite obvious that you've had dreams and you've seen them come to light, which is very impressive. So, how have you, or what tools do you use in the past that have helped you bring your dreams and reality around, and especially bring you great joy based upon that?
Look, I think it's a special story in this case, and of course everybody has their own circumstances, all those life. Just to introduce also a little bit, I was born in a middle class family in a small town, but I don't know if it's because my family, that it's a little bit special in Spain. The heritage that we have is a little bit special.
What is your heritage exactly?
Well, I have some roots from Mexico, some roots from Italy, from Catalonia, I'm from Spain, from the southern part of Spain. So we were like a good mix.
Yeah.
But still we are like very close. My family, they don't really travel a lot. They like to have like a quiet life and in a small town. And for me to be there, I felt it was like very limited and at some point even claustrophobic, because I said, wow, I want to do things, I want to explore the world, I'm very curious. And I remember at that time I was reading about books from Robert Louis Stevenson, for example.
Wow.
I was also reading a book that I really love called Michael Strogoff. Now I cannot remember the name of the author, no, but basically many books about life, about experiences, about traveling. And I was thinking, what am I doing in this small town? Every day is the same. I'm always going with the same friends, the same places. I want to go beyond that. I'm always speaking in Catalan, which is my main language, not even Spanish. Even if we were in Spain, I was always talking in Catalan.
You got some love for speaking Catalan. I saw a heart pop up there.
Oh my God.
They like that.
So thank you.
There you go.
I can do it in Catalan, but it's going to be tough.
I don't think I'll understand the words you'll say. So yeah.
So basically, that was the point when it came to my mind some books about philosophy. It arose the book of Friedrich Nietzsche. I still felt I was very young at that point, but that was the start of something different.
I have to ask you, what was it in Nietzsche's book that was the thing that like compelled you to engage your curiosity? Because it's clear from what you said, and I love this point for anybody who has young kids, that books seem to have opened up a world of more joy for you. Yes?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Because, well, first, of course, I love reading since I was a child. And basically what was in that book, and especially to understand the context, is that I was a child living in a small community. For me at that point, I feel like very limited about my surroundings, what people think about me, if I were doing something good from the perspective of the others, trying to make happy everybody, which I still tried, but I feel like a little bit frustrated,
Right.
Because I said, wow, I already start to feel the power of the community, which at some point is very good, but I felt at that time that it deterred me to develop myself, to develop my personality.
Interesting. I just want to point out what you were saying is that you're trying to establish your worth via other people, and that didn't seem to fulfill you and make you come alive. So
exactly,
that's amazing. So at a young age, you actually got that, which is fantastic.
No, definitely. I was thinking because when I started reading, that was when I realized, look, and in this book I saw that. I said, look, I have to live the life myself. I have to be prepared sometimes to feel alone or to not to feel totally let's say, not to have the approval of others, or maybe people wouldn't understand me, but I have to be like aware of that, but keep pushing to have my dreams.
You gotta teach me.
So that was the point when I feel, when I said, okay, the town is not for me, so I have to move to Barcelona, because it's the bigger city I have. So this is something I really need to explore, and I need to discover myself in a bigger city with different experiences.
Amazing. And after you did that the first time, you couldn't get enough of it. You needed more, right?
More.
Yeah, and I think that you planted the seeds of travel at that point, where you build on that, which, you know, they say plant what you want to do and then watch it grow, and God only knows what the opportunities that you can have.
No, definitely. And what I mean, and now I look at the past, I look back and I said, wow, at the end it was nothing, because going from my hometown to Barcelona was like going from Miami to Palm Beach, which is a little bit closer.
Yeah.
But distances here, of course, are different than in Europe. And also I got my family that, of course, they support me, but at the same time they were like a little bit sad, saying he wants to go to Barcelona, yes, he wants to change. But that was something I really had to do it.
Wow, it's amazing. And now, you know, looking back, you see the path that's taken you to where you are. You know, I know you are a very accomplished business person, and you work in the steel industry, correct?
Exactly. Oh my God.
So
exciting times.
For sure, exciting times. I know that I saw you the other day, and you're just like, I need to chill out, because Lord knows tariffs are coming at you. Who knows what else, right? But you do other things outside of work that bring you a lot of joy, and you're very creative, because I think the first time I met you, definitely stylish, definitely very stylish. So tell me a little bit about how you were able to distinguish any kind of hobbies that you might have that have enabled you to really get to know Miami. And Karen says, join the community. The Miami is definitely a place where there's a lot of opportunities and things to do. Like, how did you come up with the thing? And first of all, tell us what it is that you do for hobbies that you really find a lot of joy out of.
One of the hobbies that now I find like more like self-fulfilling, and maybe some people can, maybe you would think that it's something a little bit weird, was actually, let's say, in the standard sizes that to buy clothes, for example. And in Spain, so one of my passions at this point, that just to mention from the beginning, is sewing. I started doing sewing. I think I always really like to tell to people.
So
I really like to tell it, because, as I mentioned, I'm not the standard size. In Spain, I used to have two tailors that they were doing my shirts. They were doing all the alterations. Prices were amazing to compare. So when I arrived here to Miami, I said, wow, alterations are very expensive. I cannot find my size in the clothing, so it's going to be a problem. So at the beginning, I just pack a luggage and put all the clothes. I brought it to my tailor in Spain, and then she did it, and they do whatever they could. But of course, she retired, and I said, okay, so there's no point. I can do that anymore.
So necessity dictated something that you're like now engaged in full time.
Exactly, definitely. No, that was, I mean, and this is something that I feel totally amazed with that, because as I said, this adversity was something that I say I need to do it as a survival. When I first started taking classes, I felt a little bit ashamed, because I was thinking, oh my God, maybe I'm going to be there alone. They will think that I'm a very weird person, whatever, and then say, okay, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna try.
I love that.
And since then, even my professor told me, okay, you should stop sewing and start creating, because you have the talent and you have the passion to create.
Project Runway, so watch out! Oh my God, if you were on Project Runway, Ava and I will be your biggest fans. We will vote if we could for you. Believe me, because we like that show
so that was the point when I said, wow, I start to feel a passion that I would never think about before. And even if some of my relatives used to be involved in the textile industry.
That's awesome.
So that's one of my passions that really fulfills me, and I really feel really proud, because at the end I'm just doing my own creations for myself at the moment.
Do you have your own line now that you're selling to the public? Like
No. I would love.
Maybe in the future, and a Derek Fernandez original. There you go. That would be fantastic. What kind of style have you like bent toward? Like as far as in the sewing world and what you're doing, like is it particular to a certain?
This is. I mean. What I really like, as I said, working with the steel industry is like a traditional sector.
So we have steel on one hand, and we have sewing on the other.
Exactly.
That's
but
amazing.
on the sewing, I said, I'm going to put all my creativity, all my individual thinking. So my style in the fashion, in the creations, I would say something like international, but not from the point of view like I'm doing a product for everybody, but I'm trying to do a product from many people, from everywhere. So I really like to work, for example, with all the Chinese patterns.
Oh, wow.
I mix it, for example, with Indian textiles. So I'm just trying to make like a blend or like a mix of clothing that, of course, you can wear it every day, not in many occasions. That is not something ethnic or like it looks like a costume or like a wedding, a special wedding dress. No, something that it's a blend of all my experience in many countries.
Are you interested in the colors, or is it the feel of the material, or is it something that what is it that you get engaged with, like that goes towards the Derek Fernandez style, right?
The feel of the materials, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely the feel of the materials.
I can tell you this: with the whole world is a network. We all connected to each other. I have an amazing friend, Amy Butler, and she is into the textiles and everything. So I gotta get you two together. For sure. You can basically throw ideas off each other and get innovative together, which is fabulous. So I have to tell you, I'm a believer that you hold on to your faith and take the next step that'll bring you to the next part of your dream, and that makes you come alive. And if basically the endless possibilities and the beauty of the dreams that touch your soul brings you to the highest vibration of who you are. So like we were talking before, it's like, how does that resonate with you? Like, so when you're doing something that really interests you and your curiosity takes over, because you've already indicated that you're a very curious person, how do you know like you're going in the right direction, to experience that outrageous joy in life that's welcoming you, beckoning to you, really?
Look, man, that's a
it's a
difficult question.
It's philosophical, so I'll throw it out there to you.
That's a difficult question. Look, I definitely try to be every time very positive. I always think there are always reasons to be positive. And when you say if we are doing the right thing, I would say we don't know. I would say we don't know if we are doing the right thing or not. We just need to try, because from my point of view, we are always pursuing joy. We are always pursuing the happiness. And if I ask you, or if I ask anybody, what's your thoughts on happiness, we would have different answers. But
so what are your thoughts on happiness and joy then?
And it's something that we as a human beings, we are trying to find. I don't know, I think it's been in the history of humanity forever. But basically now that we have like self-awareness, or we have awareness of the human psychology, or what we do, or what humanity is capable of doing, I would say that happiness can be also associated with a dream. No, we want to be something in life, something that can identify us, and that we can get some recognition from family, people, the society in general. No, so that brings me to think that happiness at the end, or for example a dream, is not a finishing line, and we always tend to think that it's a finishing line, but a starting line.
Oh, I like that.
So for me, that's the meaning of happiness, to be in a starting point, to pursue a dream. So at the end, if we are dreaming something, we are already living in that dream.
Wow.
So the reality for me is that's the point. So are we doing things correctly or not? We are already working on a dream. So
that's amazing. I have to tell you, I really like that definition, because it's we're always beginning, right? We're always at this certain place where we're beginning a new day and something new. a new task, a new part of our process. We're always at the beginning, and then basically, yes, Karen, like we're living in the moment. That is how we can experience those things that give us joy. So, I mean, imagining that, your first time you walked into your sewing class, or the first time you got off the plane in China, or the first time you may have indicated to yourself, this is the beginning.
Yes,
and I love that is the kind of expectation of something wonderful that's going to unfold.
And I would like to point out an experience in this case with the company I'm working now. When I first starting, when I was finishing my studies, and when I came back from China, when I came back, when I did my senior thesis, I already, of course, I had in mind for many years that I want to be like an international man. I want to have an international lifestyle.
Kind of
I
like
want
Bond,
to be,
James Bond.
exactly, to be everywhere, to be anywhere.
There you go. Oh
So
my
I
God.
always
I love that, because you definitely got the style following. So
Well,
I can imagine.
I don't wear black dresses, but
That's awesome.
I still need to drive an old Jaguar Aston
Yeah.
Martin, but I'm trying.
Well, if that's on your I've seen your board. Your vision board is pretty intensely amazing. So I can't see how you won't be manifesting that soon if you want to. That's for sure.
So that was one of the realities that I discovered at that point, because I said, okay, I want to accomplish that. What can I do? And at the beginning I was thinking, okay, so I want to come back to the US, I want to go back to China, but I didn't have any experience. I just got graduated.
Wow.
Of course, I didn't have much money to invest in going to a country, find a job. And one of the most difficult things for me also was to get a visa, because with my age, nobody would sponsor me anywhere, no? And I still had some problems with potential offers I received. So I say, okay, so I want to do that, but what other ways I can find, no?
Right.
So that was the point where I started working with my company. I felt like very lucky because it was in Spain, but I was offered a position for the export markets, for the
Awesome.
international department.
Wow.
So I say, okay, so from having this ambition of being like in the international scenario,
Yeah.
with international exposure, instead of like jumping to a country, I did it from a more closer option that at the end brought me to the same
So it took
goal.
you to where you wanted to go, even if you
Exactly.
didn't realize it was going to happen from the time you said yes to that particular
Exactly,
opportunity.
exactly. So this is the
Amazing.
point, and this is one of the reasons why I say that happiness or to have a dream is always the starting line, because of
Yeah.
course we
I
can
totally
draw
agree with
like
you.
a straight line
Yeah.
and say, okay, I'm here and I want to be here, but there's always, we have to manage our expectations, and we will realize very soon that it's not a straight line, but we are going up, down, right, left,
or around,
here, there,
around,
yes.
around. Like,
So
yeah.
at the end it will arrive. So
Yeah, I think that's important to keep in mind, because a lot of people get discouraged as they're walking toward their dream, or up and down, or around, or through the mountain, or I don't know. But I think people get discouraged and they get disappointed. But the reality is that if you keep that dream close at hand and realize that every step you take toward it, like you've been saying,
Exactly.
that will get you from your small town in Spain to living your dream here in Miami.
No, exactly.
And then having the entire Latin American market at your beck and call,
Exactly.
because that's what you in fact do.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Totally.
I think that's really important, because I think that that kind of people get very negative when they don't see
Yes.
the reality that it's actually in their life, but they don't realize that it's coming as long as you keep the faith and keep moving
Exactly.
forward.
No, exactly. And what I would like to add, Megan, in this
Yes,
case,
please.
is the fact that, and this is something that I base it in a poem. I'm not doing advertising for anybody, because
Yeah.
he already passed away like many decades ago.
Okay.
But there's a poem called well, the American pronunciation that would be like Ithaca. From a Greek poet.
Oh, Ithaca.
Ithaca.
Yeah.
Called from Constantino Cavafis, no?
Okay.
And it's based on the myth or the story of the Odyssey in
Yes.
the Greek mythology.
Yes.
And basically what he said, okay, it's very important to have a purpose or an objective in life, no?
Yes.
As the character of the poem had, no? To reach Ithaca. But at the end, he said, okay, maybe Ithaca is not what you would expect, but I hope that you really enjoy the path
Wow,
to get there.
amazing.
So
Oh,
that's something that I try
that's
to
so
incorporate in my philosophy.
So you have a vision of where you want to go, but it's really like happiness is
Yes.
not the destination, it's the journey, right?
No.
Right. Happiness is a journey, and that Karen was saying before, living in the moment. Each of those moments, when we look back, I think I wrote on today, when we look back, we see that they're all tied together
Yes.
to where we actually
Totally.
are. And then you said there's really no ending, because until we unfortunately take our last breath, or when we do, we've lived out our life to the fullest. But that takes me back to you again, because I find you incredibly fascinating. I think from our initial meeting in the elevator, which you just do effuse an incredible energy. You very much are positive, and I think that when you come from a positive base, then that definitely brings in more joy into your life, and I think that that's certainly something that you do encompass. So I know my book basically talks about following your bliss and living life on purpose and actually identifying what makes you come to life. And I know that you've had different opportunities as you've walked through your journey and your destinations, wherever that may lead you. And for my own purposes, I left a federal job and I actually chose writing with my magical guide, and then speaking, and also even coaching now, and actually helping others find their path to live the life of their dreams. Certainly figure out a way to get yourself started. So now that comes back to you, what dreams are you now working on and putting out to the universe? Because I know that what you've told us already is fantastic, and I'm sure you're definitely, I saw your vision board too. Like I said, even his vision board is creative because it's a 3D. If I could show you guys later, but it's pretty amazing. So what dreams are you working on right now that you look to begin?
Look, right now, as also we mentioned before, one of the dreams I'm really trying to follow, as I mentioned, is to develop my sewing techniques, so I can start doing some new patterns for the menswear, because when you read the history, you realize that it was a different context, but let's say kings, people from the high cadres that were ruling countries, etc., they were the ones that were more innovative in terms of menswear, no? Well, then of course it went all the way to women's wear, that then it started to appear innovations, or let's say, for example, let's face it, like I don't know, the high heels were worn by the kings of France, for example, no?
They embraced
so all
the
those
heels.
things. So exactly, I'm trying to work on my sewing projects, try to just for me as a hobby. And of course, for myself, because at the moment I don't plan to do it for the market. But this is something I'm doing. And a second one I'm doing is something that it's not gonna end never. But I always say, when I die, before I die, I want to learn at least 10 languages fluent.
Oh wow, 10. So how many are we on now?
So I'm now...
How many on now? And you're very young, so that's good. You've got time. But yeah, how many are we on now?
Look, now... Well,
I love that.
I'm retaking Mandarin, which is something that really motivates me.
Yes.
It's something that I really feel a passion for Mandarin and for Chinese culture.
That's amazing.
I always said, I've lived in China once, but that's not going to be my last time. I'm for sure I'm going to go back there at one point in life. So that's a way so I can continue. So I'm retaking now Mandarin, and also to follow my tradition, I'm starting now learning Italian, so I can still keep...
Finalmente.
I can understand most of Italian, but difficult to talk. And
if you're going to definitely change menswear for the rest of the world, you definitely need to make it into the Italian market. And we heard it here today in my house on this wonderful, joyous evening in June. He is probably going to be one of those trendsetters for great Italian wear, and God only knows. So he speaks it to the universe, and it comes true, because perhaps we're not at the beginning, but we may be like somewhere on the way. So that's very exciting.
Yes. No,
and if you start to learn the language, certainly he'll be doing interviews in the top houses of fashion. Lord only knows. So he's going to talk to us now, and we'll wave to him in the future.
Yeah. No, definitely, and that's of course a passion I have, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, I have like also, for example, in my case, I still love working in the steel business because I also learn every day a lot. So this is at the end many passions that I'm trying to work in.
So you wear many hats at this point. So we have covered. You love to travel. You've been traveling all over the world, pretty much Asia, Europe, South America, Latin America in general, and the United States. You want to speak 10 languages, and it sounds like you've already got like 4, moving toward 4.
Well, I speak 4 fluent.
Yes.
I'm now learning these 2 additional ones.
So we got 2 more to go.
Yes,
so that'll be 6. So you're
getting
closer.
6, yes.
You're definitely getting closer. It's funny. You're a man after my own heart. When I was a little girl, I used to follow people around because I heard different languages, and I used to like just babble. Because I thought that somehow I was making sense to the world, not making much sense. But I knew that I had to break those barriers to learn the other language so that I could make more friends.
Yes.
That was just basically, I wanted more friends. I wanted to get to know, just like I am today, I love people. There's not a person that generally I meet that I don't really try to find something that I engage in a common, and that language just breaks the barrier. So you get to learn a whole new culture, an open mind to the rest of the world, and they become not so foreign to you any longer, which is, I think, is fabulous, because any person who expands their horizons to bring languages in, for sure you're ready to make new contacts and learn more about your world. Which, I mean, look, you had Friedrich Nietzsche in your back pocket for the beginning of your adolescence, which I don't know how many teenagers today can actually say that, to be quite honest with you. And it's interesting also, my family keeps that joyous fervor going. Every summer we go to New York, and I told everybody that I would talk about Poppiepalooza this year, and after my mother passed away, we make it a point to go to it has unfolded this way, where my father and my sisters and I and my aunt, we go to New York together and we see Broadway shows. And it's amazing when you're exposed to that creativity of other people's minds, like you said with the books, that they just start spurring on the things that inspire you, and they expand your horizons to maybe something that you're interested in to move forward. Like, is there something that you do in your daily life, or even like when you do travel? Because I know you want to go to Thailand soon, or something to like that effect, right?
Singapore,
yeah. That is a part of your process to keep the expectation of joy in your life.
Sorry, I just missed that.
No. Is there something that you do to keep the momentum going? Really?
Yes. No. Exactly.
I'm sorry. I talked maybe too fast. The Poppie. I talked too fast.
The Poppie.
That's my dad. We call him the Poppie because he's kind of like you. He's a cardiologist, but he loves philosophy. He loves all different areas and language, and he brings it all in. That's how he keeps his mind going.
Exactly. No, definitely. Yeah. So this is something I always say, and I always wanted to do, because it's not a rule of success, but the most important thing is always to get curious.
I love that.
To enjoy all the process, to be open at all times.
Yeah.
With everybody and anybody. And sometimes we believe that things are very far away from us, but happiness, knowledge, curiosity is always in the family, in tradition,
sure.
in things that are like very close to us, you know. So this is what I'm always trying to keep saying. Okay, so I need to be very conscious of my surrounding, of my environment.
I think when you are conscious, and you bring people into your vibration, that align with that energy that you're showing up as. So I'm sure you've expanded your horizons with other people who are in the textile world and the sewing world, and then even in the steel industry. Those conversations that you have aren't all about steel. I'm sure you make those connections by bringing in the outside interests that bring you joy, because people are curious, like you said, which is fantastic. That word is amazing. Curiosity. It definitely keeps us young and engaged, and encourages everyone to keep the process going, develop themselves, which so we didn't talk about this at the beginning, but I always say my intention is always to have a fun, and you've been amazing so far. And I think that by educating other people of those things that you want to learn, which is for me, this last couple, I would say even a couple months, it's been really hard to really align with joy in my own life. So when I find other people that do, I want to bring them in and engage them, because that is important for your, when you don't have it, you find those who do, and you surround yourself with that, so that when you do have it again, then you can turn around and be that catalyst for other people, which I think is the whole beauty of being alive and being, exposed to other people, for sure. So interestingly enough, we talked about the intention at the beginning and what I wanted to have. What intention did you want to have for this evening, coming here to speak with us?
Look, my intention, of course, and I feel very honored to be here.
I'm very honored to have you here.
I always try to give all the energy I can, and the intention here, of course, is to share all my thoughts, a little bit about my life, and tell you through my life how can I achieve the pursuit of joy. No, there are many lessons that we all read in books, in magazines, everywhere, and this is something that of course we need to do, that is to find joy, is to find happiness, is to find a meaning in our life. Believe it or not, I get up every day. The first sentence or question I ask myself when I get up, that's the first thing that comes to my mind every day, is what am I doing? So I try to find this meaning, no? So here, I always say
every day. That's what you do.
Every day.
Wow.
Almost every day.
That's a great habit.
Automatically.
Yeah,
I just
amazing.
get up and say, what am I doing?
Wow.
Sometimes let's say I'm not that motivated, and I think,
what am I doing?
Wrong.
Oh my God, what am I doing? I like
but
it.
At the end,
the different intonation on whatever day that you decide to wake. It's like, oh my God.
So exactly. So
like
friends,
that.
ask it, no? But what I wanted to say is, I always like to share my experience in this case, because what we need in the world, for me, is always to stay very positive.
Yes.
That's something that I really learned a lot, especially, for example, we didn't cover that, but to get my job also, I realized, or I really believe that I got my job because I stay very positive all the time, in a moment where...
So your job coming to Miami, when you're talking about...
Yeah, just before. When I started with a company in Barcelona.
Yes.
So that was the point. And this is something I always try to tell people. It's very important. It's very important because from what I say, or when we met for the first time, unconsciously, 10% was what we were saying, but 90% was the energy, our body, the non-verbal language. And this is something that we can always feel it when we interact with people.
It's so funny because when I'm doing the interview, I want to look at the screen, but I want to look at you. So I'm just like, yes, the energy. Absolutely. I felt your energy right away. I like this guy. That's what you like. That's how you get excited about people who show. I'm like, oh my God, yes, bring this person around me. I will totally engage because we all need that in life to keep encouraging each other, to collaborate and move forward. I think that's fantastic. I think you hit it on the... So I'm like looking here, I'm looking there, I'm like, no, it's the end. No, don't say you're sorry, because that's... And I'm touching my hair. Anyway, that is the energy that we absolutely need to bring to the table when we want those things that we dream to come alive, when we wish it and we believe it. But the coolest thing with the whole joy energy is that you're bringing the vibration up, and then we're always aligning. So when you do get the thing that you want, it's going to be really good. And that's where the outrageous expectation of joy comes in, because you're up at a different level. And at that level, it's a different experience that happens to you. So and interestingly enough, even with my book, when I was writing it, and sometimes I go back and I read it, and I'm just like, wow, I remember how I was feeling when I wrote what I wrote, and that's actually, whenever it hits me really like goosebumps, then I'm like, oh my God, absolutely, because that I was channeling something really positive in the vibration. They keep saying positive vibration. I think that's amazing. So you have done that. You tell your story, you share, and you inspire. Look, you lived in a small town in Spain, never knew when you were going to get out, and you knew that you wanted to. So that was the first seed. And then you moved to Barcelona. That was the second seed. And you looked at the world and you wanted to learn more. And that was the third seed. And Nietzsche came into your life. So you keep bringing all of this really great stuff into your world. I want to get back to one of the coolest things that I find here. And as you go out and, embrace your world and take your dreams, with you, pick a number, because I look at my book, you pick a number and then the number will basically sync with that which you want to bring into your world. So,
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So whatever number.
To do it very
yes,
well.
You have to, yes, and then pick really well. No, actually, it's not really pick really well. It's whatever comes to you, because that's the message that you're going to get.
22.
22. Is there a reason behind 22? Like the numerology behind 22? Tell us all.
No, not numerology.
No numerology?
No
I love
numerology. It's a very silly number that
Okay.
I really love it, because for us in I don't know here in the US, but in Spain, number 2, for us number 2 is the representation of a duck. So it's like 2 ducks. So when my hometown.
A dog?
A duck, sorry.
A duck. Okay, a duck. Okay, I wanted to make sure I got that.
So
Yeah.
the reality for me is in my hometown is very famous because we have like a big lake.
Oh.
One, I think it's the second largest lake in Spain, or one of the largest ones. So it's a tourist attraction. Say
your hometown again, so we all know.
Banyoles. Banyoles.
B-A-Y, spell it. So.
B-A-N-Y-O-L-E-S.
Okay.
Banyoles.
Banyoles.
And
So-
it's close to Girona. That it's a place that Game of Thrones was some scenes.
We all got Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
So there you go.
So it's around that area.
Oh, that's very cool. So in that city, there's a lot of ducks.
Yes, because there's a
Okay.
lake that it's like in the middle of Europe
awesome.
and Africa, so it's always full of birds. And since I love nature, I love all the animals.
That's really
for me,
cool.
it's like a special, because
there
you
you
have
go.
the blue water and the green. For me, that represents the nature. No,
I
in this
love
case,
it.
the ducks.
Well, so this is perfect, because if you're talking about nature right now, the insight on page 22, A Magical Guide to Bliss, is fly, butterflies, fly. So you can go ahead and you want to read. So you want to do January? Which one do you want to do? January 22nd or January? This is a page, so you can do.
22, perfect.
You can,
yes.
Okay, so yes.
Sorry.
No,
Perfect.
it's yours. It's up to you. So I don't know. Can you?
Well, ducks also fly.
Ducks
so.
only fly. Ducks fly. Everything. So you channel your inner duck, and I'll channel my inner butterfly, and we'll both just soar, and we'll invite people to join us. Right? Start at the beginning of their next step toward joy together. Right?
You will now realize much more my Spanish accent.
There you go.
I need to apologize, maybe.
Okay. There you go.
So January 20, fly, butterflies, fly. If nothing ever changed, there would be no butterflies. Don't let anyone label you. Everything that holds you down is only an illusion anyway. You are a magnificent, creative soul, just waiting to shine in so many different ways. Let your eyes gaze at the beauty that surrounds you and allow it to nourish your spirit with love. It is then you will realize that when you perceive as judgment from others is only a reflection of how you are treating yourself.
Yeah.
With this in mind, pour love over your mirror of life and be kind to yourself. Then you will receive kindness in return. For if you want to be free and released from whatever cage you have imagined for yourself, it's all about love. It's a love so simple, so pure, and so completely effortless. When you allow that transformation to happen in your heart, you will experience more love everywhere you turn. Then humbly let it come through you and set you free. Even if you are not ready to let go of your past story today, love will wait patiently for you, always, until you can handle its embrace once again. As you accept it, little by little, back into your life and gain strength, you will burst out of the cocoon of darkness into the light. With courage, you will spread your beautiful wings, ready to take flight. And when you open your eyes again, what a majestic sight to see.
Amazing.
The sky will be so colorful and bright as you set out to seize the new day, a new day of life to discover all the glory that's waiting for you. For when things change, you can tell yourself again, fly, butterfly, fly.
There you go.
The magical key to bliss, look for butterflies, real or artificial. Write down how many you see.
There you go.
Wow,
So
perfect.
I have to tell you, I definitely took in all of what we've been talking about tonight. Certainly, this has been a real treat to have you talking about your dreams and your goals and your process and your journey and sharing it with all of you, because I really truly believe that when we share our stories, life becomes less complicated and it becomes less overwhelming and less overbearing, and that we bring these things to the plate and say, listen, this is what I did, and you kind of pass on that inspiration. So you encourage another person to become a butterfly and fly, or become a duck and fly, or whatever you want to do and fly. But we'll all go to your city and we'll see for sure the lakes and the ducks for sure. Now that you've educated us to what your little town, all these people now know something about your small town that when you were young, only you knew, and then you got to explore. So then you share it with the rest of us, which is fantastic. So now it's time to go out for all of us and experiencing outrageous joy through setting out what it is that we want to desire in our lives and moving forward in that direction. Certainly, I'm leaving tomorrow for New York City, like I said, with the Poppie and with my sisters, and even got my hat ready to go, Poppiepalooza 2018. To seek out possibilities of how I'm going to experience joy with my family, and certainly take advantage of those times that we are together, like with good friends and friends that have just become even better friends, so get to know you. So that we all encourage each other to live out our passion and our purpose. And I really want to say thank you again to Derek to provide this kind of inspiration and insights for us, so that we can take them under our wings and use them when we need to. And certainly that we had this opportunity to get to know you a little bit more, so when you are a famous designer, because God only knows, probably doing your steel on the side or using steel in your designs, who knows, whatever inspiration comes to you at that point. But I wanted to thank you very much for bringing your magic here tonight on this Facebook Live, and also you do personify joy, so I'm really grateful. So what would you like to leave us with the last word tonight?
Well, first of all, I need to really thank you for all this time.
I really love it.
Yes.
There you go, toast.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
That was a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. I was really excited, like for many days. I said, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to do it. So
this is so exciting. I like, hey, this is, you're a natural.
Exactly.
So, this is the first interview you'll have when they actually interview you. For your future fashion. There you go.
And just to say you something like something I also like to say, it's that I hope it's like very far away, no? But what I want to tell to all of you is, at the end in my life, I want to regret for what I did, and not for I didn't do at the end. That's something that for me is very important. Amazing. Doesn't matter, we need to do it. So the worst feeling we can have is to regret not to have done something.
That's amazing. No regrets. And you can always say your first interview was with me, because I'll be like, yes, I helped you manifest your life. Yes, that's awesome. So I want to remind you all again, we're all here to experience outrageous joy in our lives. Let our souls be guided by the dreams that we have, and let us together raise the vibration of positivity in this world. This planet definitely needs it, especially at this time, and we all need to support each other to basically follow our bliss and live out the most incredible life that we can, experiencing these moments, and the destination will come. So once again, thank you guys all for joining us tonight. If you want more of the Magical Guide to Bliss, go to Amazon.com and you can get your copy today. And certainly you can always Facebook me, and also Derek's on Facebook as well. If you have any questions, certainly put in the feed after the fact, and we'll be sure to get back to you with regard to your questions that you have. It's been a wonderful evening. This is episode 8 for me, so I feel like I'm getting a hang of it. Oh, there's no more as many glitches.
I will do more.
Yeah, I'll do more. But I wanted to say that this is a lot of really good energy in the room, and I want you all to take what he said about no regrets in life and actually jump out and do what you always dreamed to do, because now there's no better time than now, and there's no better time than right when we're done, to actually declare what it is that you want to whoever, to yourself. Just embrace those things, that so you don't at the end of your life have any regrets. So so we can celebrate you as well. Anyway,
Perfect.
so everyone have a great evening. We'll see you in New York City tomorrow with Poppiepalooza, my sisters, and we'll try to engage you guys and bring you in. And follow Derek. Oh my God, you guys have to see. This guy is super talented. I've seen what he can do, and I've seen what he wears, and I know that he's made them himself. So keep an eye for Derek Fernandez in the future for menswear. Certainly, who knows what the batiks that are going to come in. Yeah, who knows? But I'm going to definitely get you in touch with Amy, that's for sure. Anyway,
Thank
good night,
you very
everybody.
much.
Take
Have a good
care.
night. Take
Good
care.
night.
Bye-bye.